Right, the DA has rejected a deal that would have seen ActionSA's Herman Mashaba making a comeback as Johannesburg Mayor. Some parties say the DA is putting a successful coalition at risk. They're also calling on the party to honour its commitment to keep the ANC out of government in some municipalities. To discuss this further, we're joined by the UDM's Bantu Holomisa. Mr. Holomisa, thank you for your time. We know we struggled to keep that connection a little bit earlier, so let's try and pick up the threads there. My colleague earlier asking you whether you have had any direct communication with the DA's representatives or whether you are purely hearing from each other in the media space.
Definitely no. I did not speak to the DA. The person who would have spoken to them is Connie Mulder, and we will wait to hear from them. For now, it looks like that deal is off, where we recommended that DA takes Tshwane and that Mr. Mashaba and his party lead the coalition in Johannesburg. But the DA doesn't want to hear that, so that's their position, and we've got nothing to do about it.
Did they raise any of these issues directly in meetings with that group of parties, of which you were also part?
Well, they did, and that's why we resolved yesterday that the majority of the parties prefer that Mashaba must be the mayor of Johannesburg, and that they take Tshwane. However, they rejected that on Monday. They came back again yesterday, but we still try and advise them that go back to your federal, as you claim that you can't take that decision, and that before 5 o'clock on Sunday, you can inform us as to what you have done. They didn't do that. They opted to issue a statement. Well and good if that is their style. But going forward, we think that Mr. Mashaba, from my personal point of view, he should still raise his hand on Monday if the elections are taking place on Monday. And I'm sure the South Africans have seen how he worked hard in Johannesburg. He batted very well as far as I'm concerned. And who knows if the ballot, if we take, if they vote through secret ballot, he might still emerge as the person, unless we are just try to threaten the members of the various parties. But let's wait, maybe. In actual fact, you know, what I was thinking is that given that the DA and the ActionSA is funded by the Oppenheimer, the daughters of Oppenheimer, how I wish they can be called this evening or early tomorrow for breakfast to say, what are you up to? What are you doing? Because they are funded by them with big monies. So maybe it can work. But if it doesn't work, when I listen to the leader of the DA, it looks like he would even be prepared. The DA would be prepared to work with the ANC, which would go back to what I suggested at the beginning, that they have numbers. If they want to stable municipality, why don't they enter into grand coalition? So they still have time. They must decide.
For residents of Tshwane and Johannesburg, a stable coalition, as you say, is essential. Perhaps that will end up being a grand coalition. However, as it stands, communication is essential to such a coalition. How do you think it bodes should the DA change their minds and re-enter into this agreement with the UDM, ActionSA, Freedom Front Plus and ACDP, that your communication has started off on rocky ground, as it were?
Well, it didn't start on rocky grounds, but the latest, obviously, you would be justified to say so. But unfortunately for the DA, if they don't form a coalition with ANC and so on, I don't think ActionSA will support them in Tswana, having snapped them in Johannesburg.
What does this mean for, sorry to interrupt you there, what does this mean for your agreements in other councils now? Would the collective still be willing to vote with the DA for their mayoral candidates?
Well, the topic at hand here was Johannesburg and so on. We've never touched anything else. Even this noise about EFF, I don't know where it is coming from. So it's just an assumption by the DA that if Mashaba is chosen as a mayor, then the EFF automatically will vote for it. I don't know where do they get this assumption from. It's just a propaganda instead of accepting that they have a hatred, I repeat, hatred against Mashaba. You know what? I think I can reveal this. Yesterday, it came out that the DA were even demanding that Mashaba must write a letter to say he wouldn't stand as a mayor, then they can cooperate with the coalition. What nonsense is that? How can they think that they can prescribe to other political parties? But we rejected that outright.
Do you think enough of these machinations behind the scenes make it into the public domain? I'm glad you're sharing with us at the moment, but a lot of these behind the scenes deals never make it into the public domain. So the public who have voted for these parties don't know based on what grounds coalitions have been entered into. Surely that should be a basic criteria of local government.
That's precisely what we're talking about, that there is a need to be transparent. Negotiations take place. If there is agreement, you go out and explain. If you differ, you go out still and explain. This is precisely what is happening now. We should be ashamed of what is happening. If there's no agreement, there's no agreement, so what?
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us again, for your time. We really do appreciate it. That was the UDM's Bantu Holomisa.